What's the story, Morning Glory? What's the word, Hummingbird? Thank you so much for clicking on my channel and for joining me for this review of Love After Lockup Season 6, Episode 7, Hate the Player. Let's talk about Brooke and JK. So it is the day of JK's welcome home party. Brooke is having second thoughts about allowing her boys to come to the party. Her mom is supposed to be on her way with her two sons to this welcome home party for JK, but because her and JK have tension between them, she had seen his phone, which he gave to her willingly when she asked for it. She went through his phone and she saw that he had females following him on social media. She saw that he still had Alexis's contact information. So she blocked all the girls following him. She deleted Alexis's contact information. So she's thinking that he is still out there in the streets, that he's not ready to commit to her and her boys. And so she's having like some second thoughts. So they're having this tension between them. So she calls her mom and tells her mom, hey, don't bring the boys. I'm still dealing with JK and our relationship issues, and I don't want the boys around that. And her mom is like, look, we're about 5 minutes away, and I am not going to turn around and go back. Absolutely not. You better figure it out with JK because we are on our way to the party. So she talks to JK. JK reassures her that she's his one and only. And remember, he is still communicating with his ex, Alex, as he's telling her this. So the boys show up at the party. They run to JK. He had a relationship with her two sons while he was in prison. That's how they developed this bond, I guess, between him and her two sons. Because when the boys saw him, they ran to him, they held on to him, they hugged him. They were really, really happy to see him. And he's like the only father. Well, he's not the only, he's the latest. I can say that he is the latest father figure that they have right now, because later on in the episode, Brooke talks about how she's been through several boyfriends who made all kinds of promises to her sons and they never followed through. So they probably have had several father figures, but he's the latest one. And it seems like, they really like this guy, and he really has an affection towards her two boys. Later on, Brooke tells her mom that instead of her coming home, because she was to come home that night, the night of the welcome home party, Brooke was supposed to go back to her own house with her children. But she tells her mom, hey, can you keep the boys one more night? I'm still trying to figure things out with JK. Her mom tells her, look, I'm not going to be your baby daddy. Okay. I am not here to raise your children. You need to figure this out quickly and come back and be a mother to your boys. So she doesn't feel comfortable leaving JK's house because she's worried that maybe another girl might show up, or that he's going to start communicating with other girls on the phone. So this is the reason why she even suggested her moving into his mother's house. And JK tells us in his confessional, absolutely not. My mother's house is already crowded with enough people. So no, she cannot move into my mother's house. But she even suggested, why don't I just move in here? And JK was like, we got to figure stuff out, your job and your kids and their school and all kinds of stuff. What do you mean, can you just move in here into my mother's house? So later on, we see Brooke, I think it's the next day after the party. She is installing a tracker on JK's phone without him knowing. Y'all be digging for information and y'all will find information that will piss you off. You see, this is a reason why Brooke has a problem. And Brooke is not the normal woman. I don't think she's the normal average woman. Brooke has a serious problem. She's got serious insecurity issues with this relationship. She's extremely jealous, very possessive, and she feels like if she is not all up in his face, he's going to be distracted by another woman or other women. So she's very, very uncomfortable to the fact that she's going to have to be leaving him soon. So Brooke is just she needs to work on that. She needs to figure out why she's so insecure in this relationship. What does she need to make her feel more secure? She needs to understand that people are going to do whatever the hell they want to do. If he's going to cheat on you, he's going to cheat on you, whether you're all up in his face, laying next to him in bed every night or not. If he's going to want to see other women, he's going to see other women. You just have to be confident and comfortable enough to, like, when it does happen, if it does happen, that you find out that he's cheating, that you just don't give a damn and you move on with your life. Moving on. Okay, so JK takes her out on a date. He gets money from his mom, and he decides that he wants to take her out on a date. So they go to miniature golf. So they go do miniature golf, and while they're there, JK promises Brooke that he is always going to be there for her boys, even if them two are no longer together. He promises her, "I will always be there for the boys." And she starts to cry. I guess she's feeling sentimental, emotional. I don't know. But then she tells us in her confessional that she has been told this before by previous boyfriends and they never follow through. It never happens. They end up deserting her and her boys. Later on, we see them going to Brooke's house. So this is his first time, I think, visiting Brooke's house. And while he's there, he has once again, when the boys see him, they are so happy to see him. They cling to him the whole entire time he's there, like they don't want to let him go. But he does have a chance to talk to Brooke's mother alone. And they basically talk about Brooke's insecurities and her overwhelming jealousy. And so the mom says that I don't know what y'all got going on in y'all's relationship, but Brooke is extremely jealous, very possessive, very insecure. But let me tell you something. I will not be stuck at home with her kids while she's chasing you all over town, trying to figure out what you're up to. That's not going to happen. So I'm thinking the mother is trying to tell him either help her feel secure in this relationship so she doesn't lose her damn mind and forgets to be a mother to her children, or let her go. As soon as he leaves Brooke's house, what does he do? He gets on the phone and he calls his ex-girlfriend, Alexis. I mean, not Alexis, Alex. And he tells Alex, yeah, I was supposed to come see you today, but there's been a change of plans. I'm leaving Brooke's house, so I'll come and see you tomorrow. So this man is juggling two women at least. Okay, at least that we know of, that we see on this show. He's juggling at least two women. He's got two women after him, and neither one of them is a dentist. JK, I'm going to need you to change your priorities. And instead of chasing tail and wanting to be in a relationship, I need you to get your butt into somebody's dentist chair. Okay, I'm assuming it's the drugs, maybe the poor dental hygiene in prison. I don't know. But he's a decent looking guy. I love his tattoo. He's a decent looking guy. Like, we need to fix that grill. We need to fix that grill ASAP. Moving on to Alexis and Julius. So they are still at that place where they're playing Connect 4. Okay, I don't know what this place is. I've never seen a place where you play board games, but they're still at that place. And they're playing Connect 4. And Alexis wanted to know exactly how far did you go with Ashley? How deep was that relationship? And Julius reassures her that nothing happened. There was no intimacy of any kind. They didn't kiss. They didn't even hold hands. Okay, they barely even hugged when he showed up at her hotel. So he admits that that's who he went to go see when he told her that he went to go see Tyler. So he swears that nothing happened between them, and then he apologizes to Alexis, and he also asks her for forgiveness. Back at the apartment, they're still having the same conversation about, is he seeing other women? Is she the only one for him? And he tries to let her know, look, you are the only one. I am not talking to any other females. So then she's like, well, if you've got nothing to hide and we're monogamous, then you shouldn't have a problem with us sharing locations. And he's like scratching his head and he's like, yeah, I'm gonna hit you back with that. Let me think about that. So the producers ask him in his confessional, are you seeing other women? And he tells them that he's not. Now, my question is, if Ashley looked the way she looked during her video vixen days, would he have stayed at her hotel? That's what I want to know. But because she looked a little off, I'm thinking, he had no reason to say it. But if she had looked the way she looked back in her, in the heyday of her video vixen days, would he have stayed in that hotel with her? Moving on to Joey and Michael. So Michael, to me, is acting very manic. I don't know what the word is. I'm not a psychologist. I don't know these psychological terms when someone is relapsing or whatever, but he's acting very manic. He's kind of like here and there and everywhere. And he's not trying to just relax and chill and spend time with Joey and enjoy being out. Like, he is very much like, I don't know, like he's just hyped up to me. He seems very hyped up. So Joey is sensing Michael's distance. Now there's a scene where they go back to Michael's halfway house, and he's going to be moving his stuff in. And they're trying to figure out what to do with the rest of their day until Michael's curfew. And so Joey suggests, do you want to get naked? And Michael was like, no, no. And so Joey's like trying to figure out like what is going on. He's been out a couple of days. We haven't been intimate with one another. What is really going on here? So Joey brings up, I think, I'm so worried about you relapsing, because I think Michael was talking about seeing some friends of his, friends that were part of, that drug culture. And so Joey gets kind of worried. He's like, are you sure you're not going to relapse if you start hanging out with the same crowd? And Michael tells Joey, like, what is if I did relapse? Like, what's the big deal? And I'm thinking to myself, I'm someone who's very unfamiliar with addiction and all of that. My belief has always been that relapse was like the biggest fear of all, because your life is going to completely unravel once you relapse. And you do so good to stay clean. And then the fear is always the possibility of relapsing. And it's like, it's all going to go downhill from there. But he's like, so what if I relapse? If I relapse, who cares? Like, it's no big deal. Why do people treat relapse like it's this big, horrible, scary thing? So I don't know what that was about. I don't think he's taking his sobriety or his recovery very seriously. To me, he looks like, in every single scene, he looks like he is possibly using or definitely thinking about using. Like, it seems to be like that's what he's really concerned with, because he's acting very erratic. So Joey and Michael are supposed to go see Joey's family. And so Joey is at the hotel waiting for Michael to show up from the halfway house so they can go see his family. Michael is running late. He's running hella late. And so he's waiting and waiting. He goes down to the lobby and he's pacing the lobby back and forth, back and forth. Finally, Michael shows up and he runs into the hotel and he greets Joey. And he was like, I'm so sorry. I was running late because they did a urine analysis on me. And Joey asked him, well, how did it come out? And he was like, Michael says, I failed. And that's where their segment ended. And it's kind of like, of course you failed. Of course you failed. You're not taking any of this seriously. You don't care about going back to prison. You don't care about your sobriety. Of course you failed. Yeah. That wasn't surprising. No one was shocked about that. Moving on to Kiana and DeMardrick. So we find out that DeMardrick had cheated on Kiana at some point in the past with Juella, the mother of his children. And this is a reason why Kiana was very insecure and felt some kind of way when she saw DeMardrick talking to Juella, even though they were only talking about their children. So that's what made her kind of get a little bit unhinged and walk off and distance herself from everybody. And so DeMardrick was trying to like talk her off the ledge, trying to bring her back to the party, trying to reassure her nothing is going on. We're just talking about the boys, like relax, be cool about it. And this is the reason why she's not cool about it, is because he did cheat on her with the ex. DeMardrick's dad is there, and his dad asks him, so what's really going on between you and Kiana? And DeMardrick tells his dad, I really love her. She's the one that I want to be with because she held it down for me when nobody else was there. She was the only one that was there for me. So the dad pulls out of his pocket, I want to say, an heirloom engagement ring, wedding ring that's been passed down through the generations in their family, because it was his grandmother's ring at some point. So the father gives DeMardrick the ring, and it's like, when the time is right, you can propose to her with this ring. So it seems like, DeMardrick has some very strong feelings about Kiana, obviously, right? We see Juella leaving the party. She's driving off, and, Juella is basically on the sidelines, waiting to be tapped in. When the time is right, she's going to enter the game, and she's going to try to take DeMardrick away from Kiana. That's all she's waiting for. She thinks that DeMardrick belongs to her. DeMardrick should be with her. They should be together. So it's sort of understandable why Kiana would be so uneasy whenever these two people get together and they're having a conversation, because of the fact that the ex wants him back really bad, and DeMardrick cheated on her with the ex. They're back at her apartment. Kiana's still very salty. He's trying to like get her in the mood, trying to get her to relax, and she's still feeling some kind of way about, what she saw at the party. So they go to bed. And then 2 hours later, we see DeMardre creeping out onto the porch with his phone, and he's talking to his ex, talking to Joella. And he's telling Joella that he really wants to see the baby boy because they have three boys together, but only two came to the welcome home party. So he's telling Joella, yeah, I really want to see my son. And so she's like, okay, yeah, because she's laying down that trap. She's like, okay. And what I want to know is DeMardre wants Kiana to believe that there's nothing going on between him and Joella, right? He wants her to feel secure in their relationship. Like he wants nothing to do with Joella other than co-parent with her. So why are you sneaking off onto the porch to talk to her? Why couldn't you have that conversation with Kiana right there next to you? So Kiana tells this the next morning, they wake up and they're having a conversation about it. And Kiana tells DeMardre, look, my issue is that you can co-parent with her, you can communicate with her, you can talk to her. I don't have an issue with that. What I have a problem with is that when I look at you talking to her, when I see you talking to her, you're like enjoying yourself. You're really, really nice to her. It's like you're having a good time, jaw jacking with her. That's what kind of makes me uncomfortable. And so he understands, he's going to fix it, whatever. So she changes into something a little bit more seductive, and, they get it on and popping as they usually do. Moving on to Will and Courtney. So Courtney and her mom, they go wedding dress shopping. Everything is done last minute, right? Because they had no plans on getting married until Courtney was released from prison. So there's no planning, there's no time to do anything. Everything is just last minute, last minute, last minute. So they go to this really funky thrift store looking kind of place to get her dress. Okay, fine. So they find a white dress, whatever. And the mom is very worried about them getting married, and she's constantly asking Courtney, are you sure? Are you sure this is what you want to do? Y'all barely know each other. Are you sure? And Courtney's like, yes, mom, I'm sure this. I love him. I want to be with him for the rest of my life. So they've known each other for about 6 months, never in the outside world, always through prison walls. And I know to a lot of people, and this is weird, this is strange, I don't know, they should not be getting married. My personal opinion on time frames and getting married, I don't think it really matters. If the two people involved really want to be married, and if they both have the best intentions, and they do have love and respect for one another, it doesn't matter if they've known each other 6 months or 6 years. It doesn't really matter. It doesn't matter because there's people who've known each other forever who get married and the marriage lasts a hot minute. Then they're headed for divorce court. So it doesn't really matter how long you've known someone. You just have to have the intent to want to build a good and healthy marriage and do whatever it takes to make that happen. So I'm not worried about the time frame. What I'm worried about is her sobriety. Because if she is a recovering addict, she needs to work on herself and her sobriety. She should not be rushing into marriage with Will just to be able to cross state lines to be with him. Her priority should be her sobriety. And I think being married and dealing with all the pitfalls and all the ups and downs of marriage might affect her staying clean. It might stress her the hell out and, make her want to go use. So it's the day of the wedding. They're there, and they're standing in front of the officiant. They're exchanging vows. Will says his part, and when it comes to her part, right before she's supposed to say I do, their segment ends. So they want to leave us on a cliffhanger, as if she's going to say no. I have a feeling she's going to say yes, because she does want to be with him, but unfortunately they can't be together without being married. So I have a feeling that she's going to say yes. Moving on to Brooklyn and Brian. So they are at Brian's welcome home party. Brooklyn's brother and Brian have a conversation because Brooklyn was really forcing it. Brooklyn really wanted her brother and Brian to have a convo. So they're having a conversation. It doesn't go very well because the brother is like, so what are your intentions with my sister and what are your intentions with your life? What do you plan on doing? And Brian gets very defensive and he's like, really none of your business. I don't have to tell you a damn thing. This is just between me and Brooklyn. So that conversation doesn't go well. Then her father shows up to the party and she forces her father to have a conversation with Brian. So that conversation went slightly better because Brian had a little bit more respect for her father than he did for her brother. But still, it was just kind of like the father wanting to know, what are your intentions? What are your plans? What are you going to do? So on and so forth. And it ends with the dad telling us that he's not really sure about this relationship. He's not really sure. Nobody has any confidence in this relationship at all, other than Brooklyn herself. Brooklyn to me just seems like, I don't know. I don't know. It just, Brian says something that was very problematic, but I can't remember exactly what he said. I can't remember. He said something and it just hit me the wrong way. I'm also worried about Brooklyn and Brian, but whatever. So yeah, that's my review. This was like a filler episode. Not much happened, but either way, thank you so much for joining me. I really do appreciate it. On your way out, please do not forget to rate the video. If you like this content, subscribe to my channel, and I'll definitely talk to you later. Bye.